Hello, this is Mr. Chabry, and I think it's time to test out this new series. So this is going to be a challenge series, basically seeing if I can beat the Pokemon game with a specific Pokemon or a rule set or something like that. And for our first challenge, we're going to beat Pokemon Red with only Raticate. So, of course, I cannot use items during battle. I can only use them in between battle. And the only Pokemon I can use for battle is Raticate. Of course, I'm going to have to do the early game stuff, and I'm going to have to evolve the Rattata first. Let's get into it. So the first thing I do is name my character. And I decide to name my character Youngster Joey. After that, I of course have to pick my starter, and I decide to go with Bulbasaur, so later on I can use it for cut. So I go ahead and start the first rival battle. However, we don't have our Rattata yet, so this battle actually doesn't really matter. All you need to know is that cut ends up defeating Charmander. So after doing the things you have to do before we officially start this challenge, Oak's Parcel, getting the Pokedex, and buying some Pokeballs, I then go to Route 1 so we can finally catch our Rattata. And I catch the Rattata and we name it Raticate. Raticate is the villain of the Great Mouse Detective. After some grinding, I decide it's probably a good time to go ahead and do the second rival battle. My Rattata now is at level 10, so I'm pretty confident that I should be able to handle my rival in this battle. We do have Quick Attack, which is a lot better than Tackle, so I'm hoping that we are able to, just plow through this. We hit the Pidgey with some Quick Attacks. We do take some damage from Gust. However, we are finally able to take down the Pidgey. But I did take a lot of damage, and I'm kind of nervous about battling the Charmander at this point, since we have taken so much damage, and the Charmander might actually take the Quick Attacks better than I thought. However, we do quite a bit of damage there, and looking at that, I do feel fine with this. We just go for another Quick Attack. A Scratch should not knock us out, and we are able to defeat the rival with only 3 HP on our Raticate. After traveling through the Viridian Forest and grinding a little bit more, I am now at level 15, and I want to see if I am even able to nearly defeat Brock. At this point, Brock, I can tell, is going to be quite of a challenge for me to get through. Rattata only knows normal type moves, and the problem is Rock type resists normal type moves. And another thing is Geodude and Onix has really high defense. So we're going to have to hope that we can get through this thing. However, Raticate does know Hyper Fang at this point. It's still not doing a lot, but it is more powerful than Quick Attack and Tackle. So my hope is that we can eventually take down Geodude and Onix. So we're going to get a lot of Hyper Fangs in. Geodude's getting a lot of defense curls, which is making it tougher for us. However, we are able to get rid of the Geodude, and that makes me feel a little bit better because we took no damage after that. So we're going to go against the Onix. The Onix is level 14, and it does know the move Bide, so it's going to do a lot of damage to us if we do damage to it while it's on these turns of Bide. So I take that as an opportunity to get some Tail Whips in and hopefully lower its defense enough that we can take this thing out. I just go ahead and fire some more Hyper Fangs, and this thing's going to Bide again. And the good thing is this is pretty easy for us to stay away from a lot of damage with this Onix going for Bide instead of Tackle or anything. So that just gives us enough time to Hyper Fang this thing and completely take it down. So surprisingly, Brock was a lot easier than I thought he was going to be, and that's mainly because he went for continuous bides instead of going on the offensive and doing a lot of damage to me. So after battling a few trainers in Mount Moon, Rattata finally evolves into Raticate. Of course, our challenge is to see if we can beat the game with Raticate. So, I mean, you could say that this is technically the official beginning. I don't think so. I think using Rattata is a part of the challenge too. But this also means that with Raticate, our attacks are going to be doing a lot more damage because Raticate has better stats than Rattata. So once we get into Mount Moon, I decide it's a really good opportunity to go ahead and use the TM I found in the earlier part of the cave and go ahead and teach it to Ratigan. This TM contains Water Gun, and the main reason why I do that is because that makes rock types a breeze. So at the end of Mount Moon, of course I can't use this Pokemon, but I do pick up the Helix Fossil, and that way we will have Lord Helix on our side. Maybe not physically where we can use him in battle, but we can have him in our spirit and in our heart. So now that we have reached the Cerulean City Gym, I decide let's go ahead, defeat all the gym trainers, and go ahead and face Misty. So after going back to Hill Up, we go to Misty. Our Ratigan is at level 23, and I think we should be fine in handling this thing. We do have to worry about her Pokemon having really high special, so Water Gun's going to be doing a lot, Bubble Beam, moves like that. So I just go for the Hyper Fang, and surprisingly, it is a one-shot on the Staryu, so that makes me feel really confident in this. The Starmie, however, does have much more bulk. It is a higher level, and it is actually faster than Ratigan, so we take a nasty Bubble Beam, and it looks to be a 3-hit KO. Whereas Hyper Fang is obviously a 2-hit KO, so we really are doing really well in the early gyms. They're a lot easier than I thought they would be. I think some of the grinding is helping us too, since we've been a higher leveled than the gym Pokemon. But I feel like soon we're going to slowly get to a point where the challenge is repped up. So immediately after that, I head north and challenge the rival once again. There's not really a reason for me to do any grinding in between because the rival's Pokemon are pretty close in level to Misty's Pokemon. So he's going to actually lead off with the Pidgeotto, and I'm just going to go ahead and Hyper Fang. His Quick Attack does nothing to me. And the Hyper Fang one-shot. So Hyper Fang's actually proving to be a very useful move here in the early game. It basically one-shots everything. Now my opponent has the Abra out. I decide to go ahead and Quick Attack. That way I can save power points with my Hyper Fang, and I don't have to go back and heal as much because after this there's a long string of trainers that you have to go through. And I decided to just try to save as much Hyper Fangs as I can. So I just go for a Quick Attack. Another one on the Rattata, and that will take it out. Now my opponent is left with just the Charmander, and I just decided to go ahead and Hyper Fang that. I'm not too worried about the Charmander. I was more worried about it in the last battle, but Charmander doesn't seem to be putting up much of a fight either, so a pretty easy victory against the rival. Ratigan then makes quick work of the Nugget Bridge. And of course the last person on Nugget Bridge is actually a Team Rocket operative sent to try to trick people into joining Team Rocket. I always thought it'd be cool if you could say yes, but of course you can't say yes at all to this guy. I think they have made fan-made games where it basically diverts from this point where you do join Team Rocket. But, in this game you can't. And of course we make easy work of this guy as well. Raticate is really good. Look at Ratigan here, wanting to learn Focus Energy. Don't teach your Pokemon Focus Energy in Generation 1. It actually reduces the chances of getting a crit. You're better off without it. We then meet Bill, a Pokemon genius that somehow turned himself into a Pokemon. He wants us to hit a button on his PC in order to turn him back into a human. We just steal the ticket for this SSN and we skedaddle. Now that we have reached the SSN, there's going to be a lot of battles here and a lot of training. There's a lot of good items you can find here. Luckily, we do have a ticket that we stole from Bill. And also, luckily, the guard does not check our ID. So, for all he knows, we are Bill. It is here on the SSN where we find one of the best TMs in Generation 1. This is TM08, and this is actually the TM for Body Slam. So Body Slam is undoubtedly one of the best moves in Generation 1. You have a chance to paralyze, and it does have some good damage potential here. Especially paired with a normal type Pokemon like Raticate. So we go ahead and get rid of Hyper Fang and teach Body Slam to our Pokemon. So after battling all the trainers on the SSN, making sure I got all the items, I decided let's go ahead and face the rival here. We are at level 35, so I do think it's safe to say that we are kind of over-leveled. I did go ahead and teach Raticate Dig. That's going to come in handy soon against Lieutenant Surge. But we go ahead and Body Slam that one-shot the Pidgeotto easily. Now my opponent sends out his own Raticate. He tries to go for a quick attack to get a little chip damage. We just Body Slam, take out the Raticate. So Raticate not only is over-leveled, this thing is a beast. And it's doing a ton of damage. Kadabra comes out, and I'm not too worried about Kadabra. This thing has really low defense. Quick attack will take it out. I probably could have outsped it since I am over-leveled. I just wanted to be safe, though. Make sure, this thing doesn't surprisingly outspeed me. So we go ahead, quick attack, and that will be gone. Next is my opponent's last Pokemon, the Charmeleon. I don't think Charmeleon has a chance here. We just go for a Body Slam, and that destroys the Charmeleon. So, again, right now things are going a little easier than what I thought, like really easy. It might be because we're sort of over-leveled, and we're going to have to try to cut down on how many people we battle going forward. After we go ahead and grab the HM 4-cut, we get to sit here and wave Bon Voyage to the SSN. And there it goes into the sunset. Of course, never returns. I don't know where exactly it's going. And I do feel sort of bad for Bill, who's probably sitting still trapped in the machine, waiting for us to hit a button. He's probably given up by now. He's probably decided to live the life of Nidoran. So now, after having really bad luck trying to find both switches in the little garbage can puzzle, we are finally able to take on Lieutenant Surge. We just go ahead and Body Slam the Voltorb, and it is a clean one-shot. I did put Dig on Raticate specifically for this gym, and honestly, with Body Slam doing as much damage as it is, I don't think I'm going to even need to use Dig. We just one-shot the Pikachu as well. And that leaves my opponent's last Pokemon, the Raichu. And even though this thing is level 24, it's not going to stand up to my Raticate, who is now at level 36. So Raticate right now, a little bit over-leveled. Hopefully I can balance that out as we go along. So now we head to the Rock Tunnel, and as I don't have a Pokemon that can learn the move Flash, we're going to have to power our way through this through the dark. So hopefully we can get through this pretty easily, but it's going to be quite annoying and quite a challenge. It is in Rock Tunnel where we learn the move Super Fang. So after reaching Lavender Town, I decide might as well go ahead and face against the rival. I've got a level 41 Raticate, so I don't think the rival's going to be a problem for me as of yet. He leads off with the Pidgeotto, and a Body Slam makes quick work of the Pidgeotto, so it's not even going to be able to do much to me, even though it tries to get some chip damage. It just tickles Raticate. We see the Execute, and Execute just goes down to a Body Slam as well. I'm not going to be able to do much of anything. We do see the Gyarados come out, and I do think Gyarados could be a problem later on if we're not careful, but as of right now, it is no problem. This thing just goes down to a Body Slam. It ends up leveling us up to level 42, which makes the over-leveledness that much more of a problem. We go ahead and quick attack Kadabra. I'm pretty sure I would outspeed anyway, but I just want to save some of my power points. There's not much I can really do in this tower, however, so might as well just... I probably should have just Body Slam. It doesn't even matter at this point. We're too over-leveled, and I do have Bubble Beam instead of Water Gun. I actually went ahead and traded it out because Bubble Beam is stronger than Water Gun. And Charmeleon actually survives the Bubble Beam. I was surprised about that. I guess Charmeleon does have enough special to make it where that move doesn't really do that much. So the main thing there was I was surprised that Charmeleon survived the Bubble Beam. However, Raticate's special is not very good, and the special moves are not going to help us out that often. Once we reach Celadon City, I decide to go up to the top floor of the Pokemart and give the little girl some fresh water. In return, she's going to give us Ice Beam, and Ice Beam actually will come in handy later on once we get to the Elite Four. The Rocket Hideout is our next destination, and we go over there and quickly run through the entire operation. As we reach Giovanni, we are ready to teach the head of Team Rocket a thing or two about injuring Pokemon. So he leads off with the Onix. We're level 46 at this point. We're still over-leveled, and Bubble Beam makes quick work of Onix. If you remember back, Onix was actually quite of a difficult Pokemon for us to handle because it took so much Hyper Fangs, but now at this point, we just one-shot it with a Bubble Beam. His next Pokemon is a Rhyhorn, who is also one-shotted with Bubble Beam. So Bubble Beam actually proving to be a very useful move here, especially against these ground types that are also rock types. Next up is the Kangaskhan, and a Body Slam will make quick work of the Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan stands no chance against a Body Slam from a level 46 Raticate. So that easily means Giovanni is defeated. Before leaving Celadon City, I take a quick detour to the top of the Game Freak office building here in Celadon City. I can't really use it in battle or anything, but I decide to use this thing for my Surf HM. I'm going to go ahead and evolve it into a Vaporeon, so once we do get the HM for Surf, we can easily just surf across the sea. But before I leave Celadon City, I actually remember, oh yeah, there's a gym here. So I go ahead and head to the Celadon City gym so I can face Erica, the gym leader who is known for grass types. A quick Body Slam takes care of her lead Pokemon, Victory Bell, and Ratigan really, I feel like, is not going to have any problem with this gym. Her next Pokemon is Tangela. Tangela usually has decent defense. However, Ratigan is so overleveled, Body Slam one-shots it easily. And that just leaves her Vileplume. This thing could usually have decent bulk, but we are still overleveled. We just hit that thing, it is gone. Not a problem. Once reaching Saffron City, I decide to go ahead and get the Hitmonchan from the Fighting Dojo. I can't use it in battle, but I decided I'm going to use this thing later as a strength user. And that's mainly just to get through Victory Road up ahead. So after receiving the Hitmonchan that I plan to use for strength later, I head back to Lavender Town. I complete all of that. I then head south with the new Pokeflute and wake up the Snorlax, defeat that, and then continue south to Fuchsia City. And there I decide to go ahead and face Koga. He's going to lead off with the Coughing. I go ahead and Body Slam that, and that thing is gone instantly. Retican's quite overleveled at this point at level 55. I am trying to get as much experience, though, because I feel like later on I'm going to need as much levels as I can get. The Muck actually survives a Body Slam and goes for a very annoying Minimize. However, the Quick Attack does connect and take it out, so this thing could have become a problem. But with Ratican so overleveled, it's not quite a problem for us. Next up, he's going to send out his second Coughing. Since we've already seen how easy Coughing was to be taken out with a Body Slam, I don't think this Coughing is going to be a problem either. And it really isn't a problem for us. We just go ahead and actually crit it. I feel like the crit was kind of nasty. Poor Koga here is like, man, salt in the wound. Salt in the wound. But that just leaves his last Pokemon, which ends up being his Weezing. So the thing about Weezing is it actually has decent bulk. And I'm kind of nervous that it's going to actually be able to survive since the Muck did. But looks to be like, no, Weezing easily goes down. And we do get the next gym badge. I then head to the Safari Zone so I can get the HM for Surf and the Golden Teeth. I do find the Golden Teeth. However, I actually forgot my way around here. So before I got to the place where you get Surf, I run out of steps, and I have to do the whole thing again. So after that, I go back to Celadon City, get the HM for Fly, and then I'm ready to go back to Saffron to defeat Team Rocket once again. So after we reach the president of Silphco's office, it is time to take on Giovanni again. So at this point, Ratigan is at level 59. Like I said earlier, I think once we get to the Elite Four, as much experience is going to actually help us. Right now, we're kind of plowing through everything, but I do think it's going to be very helpful later on. We easily take out Nidorino. He wastes a turn, but there's not much he could do because we're so over-leveled. I don't think Nidorino could have really done much at all. The Kangaskhan stands no chance, and a Body Slam takes it out. Rhyhorn is next, and like we said, Bubble Beam destroys rock and ground types, so the Rhyhorn stands no chance. Next up, his last Pokemon is Nidoqueen, and this thing could actually survive things that I throw at. But I did give Ice Beam to Ratigan. I'm going to see if a Body Slam does the job. It doesn't quite take it out, but it does paralyze it, and Nidoqueen is fully paralyzed. So really, there wasn't really much of a reason to worry about this battle. But it is nice to know that Body Slam is still helping us out, and Ice Beam is going to come in handy later on, as you will see. I then receive the Master Ball, and let me tell you guys, save this Master Ball for a Pokemon that is very hard to catch, a Pokemon that is a legendary. And it is right outside Saffron City that I find one of the most powerful Pokemon, the hardest Pokemon to catch. I've got to catch this thing as fast as I can. I can't let this thing get away, so I got to throw the Master Ball at this thing. And we catch a Pidgey. I can't use this thing, but I'm going to actually just use it for the HM Fly, which I've actually had for a little bit at this point, but I didn't have a Pokemon to teach it to, so this is going to be very helpful. It is time for us to go ahead and face Sabrina. Sabrina is actually usually quite a difficult gym leader to face, since she uses Psychic types, and in Generation 1, Psychic types are overpowered. But you know what's even more overpowered than that? Ratigan. Ratigan's at level 59 right now, and that just means that there's not much that she can do to my Ratigan. I easily one-shot her lead Kadabra. I destroy her Mr. Mime, and then she sends a Venomoth, which is kind of surprising. She's a Psychic-type trainer. Why do you have a Venomoth, lady? That's a poison bug type. We just body slam that thing, completely destroying it, and now she's only got her Alakazam. And Alakazam has really low defense, so there's nothing Alakazam can do to take a body slam from Ratigan. So another easy victory, and Ratigan actually grows to level 60 at this point. Then, using my ultra-powerful Pidgey with all the power and strength of a Master Ball, I just fly back to Pallet Town. The reason why I do this is it's a lot easier to get to Cinnabar Island from Pallet Town than it is starting from Fuchsia City. So I go ahead and do it this way so we can get to the island quicker. I decide I can't continue this challenge, not without Lord Helix on my side. So I take the Helix fossil, I revive it. I'm not going to be able to use it, but maybe just having it there with me will give me the strength I need to continue. So after retrieving the lost key, I think it's time to face Blaine. And Blaine leads off with a Growlithe. Growlithe stands no chance against Ratigan. We easily take that out. Next up, he's got a Ponyta. Ponyta's not going to stand a chance either. Ratigan is too overpowered for Blaine to handle. Next up, he's got Rapidash. Rapidash is actually a very interesting Pokemon. It is pretty cool. It doesn't take a body slam, though. And that just leaves his Arcanine. So if there's a Pokemon that could take a hit, it's probably Arcanine. This thing is actually not that far behind us in levels. And it actually does take a body slam. And it hits us back with a takedown. Luckily for us, takedown does nothing. And a body slam will completely eliminate the Arcanine. So now we head back to Vermilion City, where we discover, oh my gosh, the final gym leader is Giovanni. But if you've played this game, that's common knowledge. You already know that. And we've faced Giovanni quite a few times. I'm hoping we can actually handle this guy. I decide not to battle every trainer in this gym because at this point I don't know if being overleveled is going to help us or if it's going to make it too easy. So I decided to skip some of the trainers. We're at level 62 now, and he leads off with a level 45 Rhyhorn. That's actually not that much of a problem for us. Bubble Beam completely destroys it. Next up, he's got a Dugtrio. And Bubble Beam's not going to be doing as much to the Dugtrio because it's not quad weak to it. But we do have Ice Beam. And Raticate goes ahead and hits the Ice Beam onto the Dugtrio. One-shots it pretty easy. Dugtrio doesn't have very good special at all. Even though Raticate's special is pretty low, Dugtrio has abysmal special. Next up, he's got Nidoqueen. On the side, let's go ahead and Ice Beam, see if that one-shots it. It doesn't. Nidoqueen does have good bulk. However, we do get the freeze, so our second time facing the Nidoqueen, we do get another Hacks. And one of the best hacks, and I'd say freeze is the best hacks. Next up is Nidoking. Nidoking doesn't have quite as much bulk as Nidoqueen, but it is more offensive. So I go ahead and decide to body slam it. Ice Beam didn't take out Nidoqueen. Nidoking might have a chance to survive, I'm not totally sure. But now it's time for his last Pokemon, Rhydon. And I decide, let's just go ahead and Bubble Beam this thing. There's not much of a chance of it surviving a Bubble Beam because it's quad weak to it. And Rhydon goes down pretty easy. So Giovanni not really being able to stand up to Ratigan at all. Before we go and face on the victory road, it is time for one more test. We must face our rival once again. He's going to lead off with Pidgeot. I've got my Ratigan. I'm going to Body Slam. This has been a one-shot before, but this time it isn't a one-shot. That tells me the challenge is going to slowly catch back up to us. Before this, pretty much every battle has been super easy. And now we're going to get to a point where it's going to become a little bit more difficult. Next up, he's got Rhyhorn. Rhyhorn is not a problem. We do have Bubble Beam. There's actually another reason why we've got Bubble Beam on our Pokemon, which you're going to find out really soon. But for right now, just know that it's going to take on this Rock and Ground type. Rhyhorn goes down easily. And next up, my opponent's got Execute. We're going to get a nice level 63. And at this point, I'm thinking, we're probably going to need every level that we can get because we're slowly reaching a point where the game is actually catching up to us. Execute comes out. We're going to try an Ice Beam, see if that one-shots, and it does. So that's actually really nice. Ice Beam is a really good move on our Ratican. Next up is Gyarados, and I'm actually concerned that this thing could survive a Body Slam since Pidgeot did. And it will, but instead it's going to waste a turn going for Leer. So I'm just going to Body Slam this thing for the knockout. So Gyarados not really putting up a fight. Next up is Alakazam. I'm actually not worried about Alakazam at all. This thing has really low defense. And I decide instead of a quick attack, Body Slam. I'm already faster, I'm pretty sure, and we just one-shot it. So Alakazam not standing a chance. And next up is Charizard, his final Pokemon, his final evolution of his starter. We'll see if a Body Slam can one-shot it, and it does not. So I'm kind of nervous about this thing in the future, but for right now, we can take it out with 2 Body Slams pretty easy. So yeah, the rival is slowly catching up to us, though, in difficulty. So after leaving Victory Road, it is time to test our skills against the Elite Four. Place your bets. Can we take on the Elite Four with just Raticate? First up is Lorelei. And right off the bat, I go for a Body Slam, and she's actually going to survive and go for a Growl. A big thing that I should state in these upcoming battles is I kind of use the elixirs throughout the main game, and I forgot that you cannot buy any elixirs. So whatever power points I have, I'm going to have to conserve, so that way I can actually do this and keep the critical moves that I need to keep. I do try to go for a quick attack in order to conserve my Body Slams. However, with all the super potions, with all the growls, I realize I have to use the Body Slam to finish this thing off, because if I use up all my quick attacks, I won't have any for the upcoming battles, and getting rid of this thing is quite important. So we finally get rid of the Dugong, but our attack is dismal at this point. Now my opponent sends out the Cloyster, and I go for a Body Slam and get a very lucky critical hit. I needed that critical hit for anything. I'm going to get confused now. And the unfortunate thing is I'm going to continuously hit myself for the next few turns as the Cloyster is able to, put some damage onto my beautiful Raticate. It's quite annoying, quite upsetting. I wish that we were able to, get rid of this Cloyster, but yeah, it's going to live another Body Slam, and she's going to use a Super Potion. So the unfortunate thing is she's stalling out my power points with this. We finally get a crit on the Cloyster and take it out. So that's very nice. However, she does have a Slowbro, which is also a highly defensive Pokemon. And Body Slam does nothing, but I have to continuously go for Body Slam because Quick Attack's not doing anything, and Ice Beam and my Bubble Beam's not doing anything to the Slowbro either. So Body Slam's really my only option here. She's continuously going for a Growl, which is actually very unfortunate for me. I do get the Paralysis, which hopefully can help me stall this thing out. But without a crit, there's not much I can do. Luckily, I do get a crit there, take out the Slowbro, and next up is her Jinx. So right off the bat, I was thinking there's probably no way I can do this, but if I can get enough crits, I might be able to pull through a victory here with this battle with Lorelei. So I'm going to get a nasty crit from the Jinx with some double slaps, and she's actually going to, unfortunately, hit me 5 times. So Ratigan's quite weak right now. I get another Body Slam, get a Paralysis, which is what I really needed to get rid of this Jinx. So the unfortunate thing is her last Pokemon is Lapras. And if I can break through this thing, that would be nice. Turn the Body Slam, I get a crit. So right now I'm thinking maybe I can break through this Lapras. Maybe I can get a quick victory here. Unfortunately, the Blizzard connects and takes us out. So we were so close there, but we need to level up some more. Being as close as I was to winning that first battle against Lorelei, I decide to go ahead and give Ratigan the TM for Double Edge. And I'm thinking maybe I can overpower her bulky ice types before they become a problem. So right there, you saw the stats for Ratigan. I wish I kept it up a little bit longer, but basically Double Edge is my strategy for this time. We're going to try to overpower her Pokemon. Hopefully we can take them out. So we just hop back into this battle. I didn't do any leveling up as of right now, just because we were so close. I thought maybe if things go a little bit differently, we can power through Lorelei. So right off the bat, I want to go ahead and Double Edge on her Dugong. This thing was able to survive a Body Slam and growl us into oblivion. However, unfortunately, it survives the Double Edge as well. So with that, that's really unfortunate. I have to go for a Body Slam. At least we're not growled into oblivion like last time. But now I need to Double Edge on Cloyster. A crit would be nice, but we don't get a crit. And we're actually doing a lot of damage back to ourselves. We do dodge the Clamp, which is very important. But, the recoil is going to be a problem with Double Edge. So I'm hoping maybe we can, I don't know, power through some of these things with Double Edge. But it would be nice to power through the Slowbro because it's so bulky. I go ahead and Body Slam first as she withdraws, and then try Double Edge, and she actually survives. That's unfortunate. I can't do much about that. I got a Body Slam now. The big problem is the power points are going to be a problem. The recoil damage over time is going to be a problem too. But I'm hoping if things go well for us against the Lapras and the Jinx, we might have a chance at this. We might be able to defeat Lorelei. We one-shot with the Body Slam, which makes me feel really good, but that just leaves the Lapras. I think my best option here is to Double Edge or get a crit on Body Slam. I go ahead and try Body Slam to see how much it does. We do get a Paralysis, and we get a lucky full Paralysis. So we go ahead and do that again as she uses a Super Potion, and I Body Slam. We finally take down Lorelei. Next up is Bruno. And one of the problems that we've had so far is power points. I'm going to have to conserve my power points a little bit more here. And another thing is Bruno has some fighting types. If we get hit with any fighting type move, it could destroy Raticate. So hopefully we can get through this, get lucky like we did with Lorelei. And we're going to go ahead and, face down Bruno's Onix first. We faced Onixes many times, and Bubble Beam instantly destroys Onix. So I'm not even worried about this thing doing anything to me. We just one-shot it with a Bubble Beam, and it is gone. But next, Bruno has a Hitmonchan. And the thing about Hitmonchan, it actually has some decent bulk. So my only option really is to Body Slam or Double Edge to try to get rid of this thing. We almost one-shot this thing. However, we get hit with a nasty counter. If I had went for Double Edge, it would have one-shot the Hitmonchan. But with that counter, we are stopped once again. So after grinding up to level 75, I decide it's a good chance to go ahead and try once again. I actually do level up to 76 battling Lorelei, and that's a thing, once I have to go back, I have to also preserve some of my power points for the upcoming battles. But I'm not going to show the ones that I've already beaten. We're going to just try to continue forward our progress, and we're going to go ahead and face Bruno here with level 76 Raticate. So if you remember, he leads off with Onix. Onix is not a problem at all. We easily destroy Onix here with a Bubble Beam, and it's not going to be able to do anything. However, we need to one-shot the Hitmonchan, and we do know that. I'm pretty sure we can, though, even with Body Slam, because we're quite higher in level than we were the last time we tried to face him. So I'm going to Double Edge just to be safe. I'm pretty sure Body Slam could do it, but if it's like a roll or something, a counter will completely destroy me, and I do not want that to happen. So we go ahead and get rid of Hitmonchan here. We're going to get another level up here, which is nice, which actually could help us out in certain situations. Next up is Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee doesn't have as good bulk as Hitmonchan, so I go ahead and Body Slam and destroy that thing. So far, this has been quite easy compared to the last time we faced Bruno. Next up is Onix, and Onix isn't a problem at all. Really, Onix just stands in the way of, reducing our power points that we could use for an upcoming battle. That's the real problem with Onix, totally. But Machamp is next, and I'm actually very scared of Machamp. This thing has good bulk, and it hits like a train. I need to go Double Edge to take this thing out, and we do take it out. So Bruno is finally defeated. Now it is time to face Agatha, and as I was saying earlier, Bubble Beam's going to come in handy. It is actually this battle where Bubble Beam comes in handy. Without it, I cannot touch her. I do have Ice Beam, which can also touch her ghost types, but my other two moves are normal type. It's actually at this battle that I actually wish that I did keep Dig. Dig would actually make this battle a lot easier. And another drawback for this battle is I need to conserve my power points too, so I'm hoping I can actually handle her ghost types with Bubble Beam. However, the problem is Gengar has really high special, Raticate has really low special, so it's going to take quite a few Bubble Beams to be enough to take out her Gengar. Unfortunately, it does barely anything. I decided to see how much Ice Beam does. It actually gets a crit, which is actually really bad. I'm hoping to get rid of this thing before she confuses me again. And unfortunately, she's going to be able to confuse me again. So, really, we're in a bad situation here. But I go ahead and Ice Beam just in case she decides to try to heal up her Gengar, which I don't want that thing healed up again. Next up is Golbat. And honestly, I could Double Edge. I don't want to just Body Slam, and get hit with like a Toxic. I don't know if it has Toxic or not. So I just go ahead and Ice Beam. Probably would be very advantageous if I tried to save some of the Ice Beams, but Agatha's got some very scary Pokemon that can do a lot of damage if you're not careful. Next up is Haunter. I don't want this thing to put me to sleep, and we don't knock it out, but she ends up going for Dream Eater instead of Hypnosis. So we're very lucky there, and we're super lucky once we get the freeze on the Haunter. So now that it's frozen, we just take it out. And next up is Arbok. Arbok's actually not that scary of a Pokemon. It's not the bulkiest of Pokemon, so I could easily body slam this thing and take it out. So now it is down to her last Gengar. And I'm very terrified of this thing. I know I won't be able to one-shot it at all, not even close, but I might be able to get a crit. She's going to hit me with Nightshade, which Nightshade's an interesting move. It's a ghost-type move that in Generation 1 actually can hit normal types, which is weird. But it looks like Ice Beam's actually doing more damage than her Nightshade, so I just have to worry about her stalling out my power points with my very important Ice Beam, which could come in handy later on. But we're able to take down Gengar and continue forward. Finally, we reach Lance. And he's going to start off with Gyarados. I'm kind of nervous about this Gyarados. But I'm hoping I can take it out with a Body Slam. So we're going to test that out, see if we can one-shot it. And we don't quite one-shot it. But we do get the Paralysis, which is actually really nice. That actually is very helpful. Here, I really wish that I was able to keep some of the Ice Beams. But unfortunately, I kind of used quite a bit of them against Agatha. So I'm not going to have as many as I would like. However, Dragonair still should go down to a double edge, I would think. And yes, it does. The problem with that, though, is we're doing some recoil damage back to ourselves, which is not very good. But he's got another Dragonair. Pretty sure a double edge will take this one out as well. There's not really a reason why it shouldn't. So we just take out the second Dragonair. Next up, he's got Aerodactyl. And Aerodactyl's actually a pretty bulky Pokemon. It's got really good speed, really good attack. It's very scary. I'm going to see if Bubble Beam can at least two-shot it. And it looks like, yes, it can. But a takedown is actually going to be very nasty on us. And I'm going to go for another Bubble Beam. And that will take down Aerodactyl. So that actually just leaves Lance's last Pokemon, which is going to be Dragonite. So, as I was saying, Ice Beam is a very helpful move in the Elite Four. Not only does it give me an option against Agatha, it gives me something to hit Dragonite with. However, I unfortunately used all of them against Agatha. So I'm going to have to hope that I can take out this Dragonite. And unfortunately, he goes for an Agility. But fortunately, it's not enough to outspeed me. So even without the Ice Beam, I'm able to take on Lance and defeat him. And with that, we reach the championship battle. It is time to face the rival one last time. So I'm kind of nervous about this battle, mainly because I've used a lot of my power points facing on Lance. But I am confident that I might be able to pull through a victory. I've been getting lucky up to this point, and I was able to basically beat Lance the first time. So I'm hoping that I can take on the rival as well. I know the rival is probably going to be a little bit tougher, mainly because, the power points and everything. But we have been decently prepared to face him every time before. So I'm hoping that we're able to face him here. He's going to lead with Pidgeot here. And this thing's at level 61. We're still over-leveled, but, at this point, that doesn't matter. An Ice Beam would be so nice here, but unfortunately we don't have any. I want to see if a Body Slam one-shots. It does not. And we take a nasty Wing Attack. However, it's not doing anything. So, at this point, Pidgeot's not even a threat at all to us. Next up is Alakazam. And if we can outspeed Alakazam, it doesn't even matter. We could Body Slam and get an easy KO. And we do outspeed Alakazam. We get a crit. I don't think crit mattered because, Alakazam's got really low defense. Next up is Rhydon. And Rhydon stands no chance. We've got Bubble Beam just for rock and ground types. So we go ahead and hit the Rhydon. It is gone. So I'm feeling really confident at this point. My opponent only has 3 Pokemon left. However, Exeggutor is going to probably be a problem. This thing does have some decent bulk. I'm going to double edge. Don't want this thing to survive. It could actually put me to sleep with Hypnosis. That would be annoying. We get a crit. So very lucky. So nice. We get rid of Exeggutor there. Next up, my opponent has the Gyarados. And if there's a Pokemon that could be a problem for us, it could be that Gyarados there. Gyarados does have decent bulk as well, and it has really good attack. So hopefully we can one-shot it. And we actually don't one-shot it. And we get hit with a Dragon Rage, which is very nice, nasty. It is a fixed damage move, however, so it's not doing a lot of stuff to us. But that's going to bring us down to where a double edge is going. We're in a bad position. We need a one-shot this Charizard. We really need a one-shot to go forward from here. So, with every hope I've got, come on, Raticate, one-shot. We don't. And he uses a full restore. And we're at the point where a recoil might take us out. So I see if double edge would do as well. We could get a crit, it brings it down, but we are stopped to a slash. So we're going to have to come back and do this again. But we were so close. We were so close. We should be able to do it if we get luck right. So since I'm so close to level 80, I decided let's go ahead and grind up to level 80. But while I'm in the Victory Road, I find this odd Pokemon. This is a very weak-looking Pokemon. It looks really weak. I think we should, push it around, show it who is the king of Victory Road. So let's go ahead and just one-shot this thing. Just, teach it who's boss. So with that, I decide let's go ahead, go through the Elite Four once again. And once we get to our rival, try to go more on the offensive. We've got double edge. Let's try to use it to get as much knockouts as we can. As you see, we've already used all our Ice Beam at this point once again, so it's not going to help us against the Pokemon that it could really be useful against, like Exeggutor. But with double edge, we one-shot the Pidgeot. Of course, Alakazam's not going to take a Body Slam, so I'm not going to waste my time going for double edge here. So we just take out the Alakazam. Next up is Rhydon. And Rhydon's easy knockout. Just go for a Bubble Beam. There's not much Rhydon can even do to us. I'm not even worried about Rhydon. So with that, pretty much back at where we were when things kind of got a little iffy. So Exeggutor comes out. And I'm just going to go ahead and knock that out with a double edge. Like I said, I don't want this thing to put me to sleep. We get another crit. That's very helpful. And get rid of that thing before we get put to sleep. And next up is Gyarados. As we saw earlier, it actually survives a Body Slam. However, I am higher leveled, but I want to make sure we get rid of this thing. Double edge, and it actually survived once again. So I guess it's down to a roll. And we're going to get hit with a Dragon Rage. And now we're back in the same position we were in earlier. So, yeah, I need to one-shot this thing with a double edge. If not, then we lose again. But, yeah, there it is. It survives with 1 HP again. So after doing a little bit more grinding, we reached level 85. And it is now time to face the rival once again. So, this time I want to try to save my double edges for Pokemon that have proven themselves bulky enough to take a double edge before. So a Body Slam takes out Pidgeot. Next up, Alakazam. We Body Slam that thing. Like I said, we got to save our health for double edging onto the bulkier Pokemon like the Gyarados, like the Charizard, like the Exeggutor, which so far we've been pretty lucky in getting crits on that thing. Bubble Beam takes out Rhydon. So far, so good. Raticate just mowing down the rivals team here. But now is where it gets a little bit tricky. So now Exeggutor comes out, and I go ahead and double edge. I need to just one-shot this thing. Can't let it hypnosis me. And we take some recoil. And it goes down pretty easy. This time, not needing a crit. Gyarados comes out. And as we've seen before, this thing has a bad habit of surviving double edges. So if we can one-shot it, that's going to be so helpful. And we do one-shot it. So Gyarados is down. But that leaves the final Pokemon, Charizard. We need one shot. We need a one-shot. Even without a one-shot, we might have a chance. But we do get the one shot. And with that, Raticate has taken us to the champions. And here it is, the Hall of Fame. We have reached this point only using Raticate. Here it is, our Raticate level 86. So honestly, this challenge was a lot easier than what I thought it would be. I thought maybe it would have been a little bit more difficult, but Raticate was actually a pretty capable battler, especially with the right moveset. And to prove that I didn't use any of these other Pokemon, I've got them here in the Hall of Fame as well. The way that I got out of battling with them in the Elite Four was I would continuously use the Poke Flute until they got knocked out. That way, I wasn't cheating against the rules of the challenge. So that way, Raticate was the only Pokemon getting use. And here it is, Lord Helix, the Pokemon that helped us out in the end. So this was an interesting challenge. I've never done a challenge like this before. I wanted to try it out. It seemed to be a thing that people really like on YouTube, and I wanted to try it out. This video ended up being longer than most people's challenges, so I'm guessing that's a thing that I'll get better at editing and doing as I go along. Because most of the time when I see people do these challenge videos, it's only like 20 minutes long, and this one ended up being like 50 minutes long. So bear with me as I try to learn how to do this. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you in the next Pokemon video.